It's U of L Today on 93.9 The Ville. Here's your host, Mark Hebert.
And welcome to U of L Today with Mark Hebert. I am Mark Hebert, and you are listening to the show about all things University of Louisville. Academics, research, great stories about students, and we're here to tell you some of those stories today as you're listening here, and we appreciate you being with us. U of L and its related foundations get millions of dollars each year in research funding while investing millions more in startup companies. So what is the result of all this investment in research? How much research is actually getting from the lab to the bedside and producing cures and products for real-world problems? With me today, Dr. Bill Pierce, who's the Executive Vice President of Research at U of L, and Dr. Eugene Krenzel, the Associate VP in Research, and the guy in charge of making it easier to move discoveries to the marketplace. I guess we call it translational research, I guess is the big term that's always used. Correct, gentlemen?
Yes. That is correct.
All right. Well, Bill, let's start with you. This is Dr. Bill Pierce, who's the Executive Vice President of Research at the University of Louisville. Why don't you give us a big, broad overview of research at U of L? We know U of L is one of two research universities in the state of Kentucky, the other being UK. So what do we have here at U of L?
Okay, thanks, Mark. At U of L, we are dedicated to being a nationally known metropolitan research university, and we take each of those words seriously. As academics, we do very few different things. One of them is we preserve the knowledge of the antiquities. Everything that's ever been known, we try to preserve that and give that to our students. But we also discover new knowledge, and that's usually what we call research, where we have new ideas, new products, new inventions. And the University of Louisville has made a conscious commitment to not be an ivory tower on the hill. We are embedded in this community. We're part of this community, and we are dedicated to making sure that the new knowledge that we discover gets out to the world for the good of humankind in one way or another. There are a lot of ways we do that, and they don't all involve money, and they don't all involve products. Some of the things that we learn make us better teachers. And we have 20+ thousand students that we teach every day. And hopefully by coming to a research university, they get to participate in this research. And it makes them inquisitive and will make them scholars or inventors later on. Sometimes we give it away. One of the traditions of the academy is when we discover things, we publish papers, books, we give presentations, concerts, have art shows, whatever the discipline is. Sometimes we put it to use right away. If I am a surgeon and discover a new way to do a procedure, I will implement that in the operating room.
Well, let me ask you this though, in terms of just, if my mom walked in here, she would have no clue what a research university is. So what do you tell her about the University of Louisville in terms of the actual numbers? How much research are we doing here in terms of grants and funded research? How many researchers of all our faculty, are they all doing research? Is some of them? I mean, kind of give me the overview here. Okay.
Well, all of our faculty are involved in scholarship of some sort.
Okay.
Now that takes, if you are an artist or a musician, that's different from being a scientist, but they all do scholarly work. Now, some of that is funded, some of it externally funded, some is not. It's all valuable, but if you want to get down to the numbers, how much of a financial enterprise is this?
Right.
We spend about give or take a little bit, about $180 million a year on research. Much of that comes from the federal government, some from local, some from state government. We have strong ties with the private sector. with industry, and we do research that these people are interested in. Sometimes that gives us information. Sometimes it gives us a product, and in that case, we will protect that with a patent and so forth.
And that 180 million, that's a number that's way up from say 10 or 12 years ago, isn't it? That's
quite
huge
a bit.
Number.
In 2004, I believe it was about 110 million.
So that's a big chunk of change.
So it's been a dramatic increase, and that was due in large part to the so-called Bucks for Brains program, which allowed us to hire a large number of very talented faculty, and most of them are still here and are very successful. It's a great program in the state of Kentucky.
All right, Eugene Krenzel, you're the associate vice president in charge of in research, and you're the guy that came in and is, as I understand it, is in charge of trying to, as best we can, take these discoveries and get them to the marketplace. Is that a fair assessment of what your job is?
Well, my job is to connect the dots primarily. One of the things that in this business is very important to understand that this is not done by a single person or a single organization. We need to have a lot of partnerships with our people in industry, in the community, in the government, foundations, at the university, entrepreneurs. So it's a whole large ecosystem, and we're trying to make sure that all the pieces are connected well, so we can move those innovations that are discoveries by our faculty members that are going from what do we call from lab to the marketplace or from bench to the bedside.
You're listening to UofL Today with Mark Hebert. We're talking with Dr. Eugene Krenzel and Dr. William Pierce from the University of Louisville about the research operation at UofL. Well, Eugene, why don't you talk a little bit about, give me a specific of something that is out there that was discovered at the University of Louisville and is now making its way. It's out in the marketplace, or it's about to be out in the marketplace, and it's research that's hit the streets, in other words.
Well, there are a couple of examples that we can bring up here that would be very illustrative, and you mentioned that you want us to explain that to your mother, and if your mother is...
Well, that may be difficult to my mom, but then somebody else's mom maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
Well, anyway, people like to hear stories that they can relate to, not just the numbers. Numbers are very important, but the stories are probably even more important. One of those stories is spinal cord stimulation with Dr. Harkema. And, for example, last month, one of many patents that are surrounding that groundbreaking innovation by Dr. Harkema that covers certain type of epidural stimulation combined with physical training and therapeutic agents combined to give patients that are suffering from paralysis the ability to move their legs. Some of us remember the story of Rob Summers, who was a very talented young athlete, baseball player with aspirations for Major League Baseball, who got hit by a driver by a car and was left paralyzed and was told that he would never walk. And thanks to research by Dr. Harkema combined with her colleagues at UCLA and a research institution in St. Petersburg, Russia, out of all places, that research resulted in that person and several others being able now to walk, that their prognosis was that they will never walk.
And so we're taking that now. That you said that is there a patent or
yes, we have. Yeah, we do have a patent on
the device, on the actual stimulator device that's implanted. Just to explain it, it's
actually a portfolio of different patents that are covering various aspects of that innovation, and some of them are done here, some of them done at UCLA, and this is one of the things. You cannot do it by yourself. You need to have partners. One other example that we're very proud of is Dr. Susanna Ilstad and Regenerex and her discovery of facilitating cells that help their transplant patients to get off their the drugs that they normally would be taking for the rest of their life that have a lot of side effects. And this is another example what Dr. Pierce has mentioned before. Of Bucks for Brain. This Dr. Ilstad was one of their first faculty members that were brought in through the Bucks for Brain program, along with 23 other researchers from her group and their families, and that impact on their area is tremendous.
Now, Dr. Pierce, is it a deal at U of L where it's just the faculty members at U of L? I mean, Eugene mentioned these partnerships that we have with other schools and other entities, but is it mainly just the faculty at U of L that are coming up with these discoveries and then trying to get them to the marketplace, or is this a case where there are facilities available to Mark Hebert to walk in if I've got some great discovery and I can work with folks at U of L and get that to the marketplace?
There are a variety of mechanisms, and it's not just our faculty. It's our faculty and our staff and our students all work on these things, although the faculty typically lead the charge. And we do provide a variety of other mechanisms where people can tap into this, if you like. One of those things is through consultantships. If you have a business, you can hire our faculty to, in their private time, to give you advice, or we have laboratories here, such as our genomics and proteomics laboratories, our clean room, rapid prototyping center.
And those are all big words.
Those are okay. Rapid prototyping center is you have an idea for an invention and you would like to see if this is going to work, and they can make you that one prototype, that one example of it, so you can see if the parts fit together and if it'll work and so forth.
Well, that's kind of like the 3D printing and the 3D printing operation in the rapid prototyping lab.
That's a part of it. 3D printing is just using the same kind of printer you'd use at home, except you build layers. And we've had a case here where we built a model of a pediatric heart that allowed a surgeon to plot out his surgical strategy without having to open up the baby to do so. I
think that was probably a story that a lot of folks saw, because that was a big national story that they used the engineering along with the medical school folks came together, printed a heart, and so the doctor could go in and look at the heart and say, well, if I go in this way, I can get to that inside that heart. And so he could practice essentially on this artificial heart, for lack of a better term, this 3D printed heart, before going in and operating on the small child. And the surgery was successful.
Exactly.
Right? So that was a big deal for U of L.
Very much so.
So, all right. So, and there was one other thing you were going to mention. You said rapid prototyping lab, the clean lab. What was the other one? I forgot.
Well,
you were
proteomics and genomics. Those are two, and those words mean
easy for you to say.
They don't mean, Mom. That doesn't mean anything, does it? But these are very important in something that maybe makes a little more sense, which is personalized medicine. It is a way to, well, let me back up one step. If you give the same drug to 100 different people under the same conditions, you might get 16 different responses. And it would be nice to be able to predict, well, this person's going to have a good reaction to this drug, this one not so much. In the future, you will go in the hospital or to your doctor, and a sample of blood or some other tissue will be taken, and these kinds of tests will be run that will allow the doctor to predict, what kind of reaction you'll have to a treatment and get it right the first time.
And didn't a company called PGXL, didn't that grow out of that type of research at U of L?
It did.
Absolutely. PGXL is a fantastic example of how research at U of L, and those big words that our moms probably will have a hard time understanding, how they affect individuals and how they affect people that we care about and their health and their ability to deliver the medicine precisely what their specific genotype would require.
For a specific person.
For a specific person,
personalized
exactly.
Medicine. Okay, yep. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break. When we come back, what can U of L, the city of Louisville, and the state of Kentucky do to improve and capitalize on all of this great research going on at the University of Louisville? You're listening to U of L Today with Mark Hebert on 93.9 The Ville.
My name is Lauren Greenwell, and I'm a junior majoring in English and minoring in political science, and one day I plan on attending law school. My U of L is not only a campus, but it's a home. It's a home where I've made countless memories and friendships. It's a home where I've not only flourished as a person, but I've also grown as a student. U of L has given me something that I cannot thank anymore for, is my future. So thank you, U of L, for getting me my own special, unique experience. My own U of L. Go Cards.
This is our time to soar. We are an unstoppable force of innovation and academic excellence, solving the world's mysteries through research, stimulating growth in our community and beyond, and inspiring the next generation of leaders to build a better future for all of us. We are the University of Louisville. Watch us take flight.
My name is Taylor Young, and I am a secondary education major with a minor in Pan-African Studies, and my U of L is knowing that I chose to come to a university where there are so many opportunities. Some of the things that I have experienced here at U of L are being on the Porter Executive Board and also just singing in the Black Diamond Choir. My U of L is knowing that I'm continuing a legacy that my parents set out for me when they both graduated from this university, and my U of L is always being a Cardinal. Go Cards.
We're back on U of L Today with Mark Hebert, and I'm talking to two of the guys that head up the research at the University of Louisville, Dr. Bill Pierce and Dr. Eugene Krenzel. Let's talk a little bit about the impact of U of L and its research on maybe not just this city, but this state and this country. What impact do you see? And Bill, you talked a little bit earlier about that this really helps students and scholarship and those kinds of things. We've talked about how it might impact people on the street, but is there anything that's really impacted in terms of economic development, those kinds of things that people would understand, how that might be impacting their lives?
Well, we have a variety of impacts. Some of the ones you might not think of are our increase in research has helped us attract more and better prepared students, and our entering class every year is better than the year before. It's a big attractor.
So you can tell those kids you might get a chance to do research at the University of Louisville, right? Is that what you lure them with?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And we use it to attract new faculty members. When people see a lot of activity and a lot of buzz here, they want to come here. And we do a variety of things. We tell them you're encouraged to follow your dream and pursue your inventions. Not only that, we have probably the most generous sharing policy in the nation. A faculty member who comes here, if you invent something as a faculty member, it's your responsibility to tell the university. And the university then decides, do we want to protect that with a patent and commercialize it and so forth. But if down the line it does generate income, then half of that money goes back to the faculty member. And it's an enormous incentive.
Well, since you brought it up, let's talk about patents. I know the University of Louisville Foundation, and I assume the Research Foundation also invest in companies or potential companies and discoveries. So how does that work? Number one, the investment by the University of Louisville into some of these discoveries. And number two, who gets the patent? Is it the University of Louisville? Is it the researcher? Is that explain how that works, maybe, Eugene?
Sure. There are many different kinds of investments. Monetary is only one of them, and part of that is what the University of Louisville Foundation has done in the past years, quite a few years, invested in a number of companies that were startups from faculty and staff and students research. That is one example of those investments. And the other example is that the University of Louisville Research Foundation, which is a separate entity, and it's a little bit of alphabet soup for some. But University of Louisville Research Foundation is the entity that owns and handles all the intellectual property rights to the invention on behalf of University of Louisville, and helps faculty members and staff and students to commercialize and invest in the IP protection and supports a staff that helps develop their relationship with potential commercialization partners, help start new companies. And I want to give a couple of examples. One, and it really connects to something that we started talking before the break, and it is an example where it's not only faculty members, but also it is students and staff that are involved in inventions and commercialization. One of those examples, and fantastic example, is InScope Medical Solutions. It's a team, started as a team of our entrepreneurship MBA students that licensed the technology that was developed by Dr. Marion Ann Mallory and Dr. Cunningham at the University of Louisville, a new type of laryngoscope that combines three previously separate devices to make airway intubation safer and faster. And
I had them on the program. It's really interesting. And to explain to folks, it's something that could be used in a helicopter, or if I was in an auto crash to help open the airway down my throat, and they came up with this new device, and then they figured out a way to market it.
Yep, absolutely. And now it is a real company. It's no longer a student team. It's a real
viable company.
Absolutely viable company, investable company that we're really looking forward to continuing working with them and helping to commercialize that technology. And this started as a student team, and that faculty member, one of the members of the team, was Dr. Mallory, who, besides being a practicing physician, decided to take an MBA and got her degree and became part of that process and that company.
So she's a doctor with a business degree.
Absolutely, and that happens more often than you think. Another example that I would like to bring up in terms of impact on the university and impact on the community and impact on the state and the nation and the world is that not very many people realize that the University of Louisville right now is the only university in the nation that has what we call a trifecta of the most prestigious commercialization programs that were both publicly and privately funded by the Coulter Foundation. We have a Coulter Translational Partnership, one of 16 elite universities in the country. We have NSF I-Core site funding from the National Science Foundation, and we also are a recipient of one of only 3 NIH REACH grants for creating commercialization hub at the University of Louisville, and those 3 programs combined provide for absolutely unprecedented transformational opportunity for our university and for the community.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And Bill, I know this is a sports radio station most of the day, and people always talk about UK and U of L you're on 93.9 The Ville, but when we're talking about UK and U of L, it's a little bit different story than competing on the football field, isn't it?
Absolutely. When we compete on the field or on the court, we play to win. But the rest of the time, we get along pretty well with UK. I have several collaborators that I've done a lot of work with at UK. They're great to work with. We've had successes together, and a lot of the things we do can be synergistic. So no, we're not rivals in the laboratory.
And I think just last month in September, there was an announcement that the UK and U of L were going into a program together a micro and nanotechnology program to allow, and they got a big grant from the feds, the NSF, to go ahead and open up the facilities at UK and U of L to folks from private practice and businesses and corporations and make those facilities available to them, correct?
That is correct, and that's a big deal. There were only 16 of those awards made throughout the United States.
All right. Well, I got to wrap this up. So what would you tell folks about research at the University of Louisville? Should we be excited about it, and how might it impact my life going forward?
I think it's very exciting. I think that everybody here is energized about all the things that we have done. We have new cures, new engineering marvels, and one of the important things that we do is we try to put different pieces together that you might not think of going together. We put as you just highlighted, the business people and the medical people together, or maybe the medical people and the engineers, or the social workers with the engineers, and we just go forward and upward and onward, and it makes the university a better place.
Okay, good deal.
Yep. And if you want to know more how to partner with the university, we created a special engagement portal. Go to louisville.edu/research/innovation, and it will point you to the right areas where, depending on who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, and what kind of outcome you seek, you click on those selections, and it will connect you straight to the areas where you need to go.
All right, Dr. Eugene Krenzel, Dr. Bill Pierce, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it. Go forward with the good research.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
All right. So thanks for joining us, and go Cards.